All right, we're starting at the basement level of Algebra 2, building our foundation to make sure we understand what's going to come up next. So we're going to start by looking at changing these sentences into algebra, but let's review what some of these vocab words mean. So product is referring to, yes. So anytime you see the word product, you're multiplying two things together. Sum is talking about addition. Whenever they talk about a number, what are they wanting you to write there? Yes, the variable. Typically kids will pick X, but you can pick any letter you want. Probably don't pick O because it looks like 0. Okay, so let's do this one first before we move on to the second one. All right, so we know we're going to multiply two things together because it says the product of something and something else. So we're going to multiply what with what? What's the first thing we're multiplying? 12. So we're going to take 12 times something. What is that other something? It's this whole thing right here. So how would you write that? The sum of a number and -3. So we have parentheses, and it's, what is it? X plus -3. Okay, that's all they want you to do, and I'm going to ask you similar questions on the test. All right, difference. What does difference mean? And we have another product, so we know that's multiply. We have another variable. And then we'll talk about this when we get there. Okay, so it says the difference between something, two things. So we know we're going to subtract two items. So what's the first item that we're taking the difference of? Yes, right here. This. How would you write the product of 4 and a number? What's another way to write x times 4? 4x. Okay, so the difference between the product of 4 and a number, which is right here, 4x, the difference between that and the square of a number. Okay, there's two common options that kids say. Which one is the correct notation? Left or right? It is this one. What would this one be called? Square root of a number. Okay, so we're going to write x squared right there. What's the fancy math way of saying division? Quotient. Good. Questions on those? So we're going to go through 4 examples of solving for x. Again, I know this is your 3rd year of solving for x. You started in Algebra 1. You solved for x all year last year in geometry. But we're just making sure that we're completely solid on this before moving on to more difficult concepts. So we're going to start with these 2 problems right here. I'll go through the first one with you, and then I'm going to give you a head start on the second one. Having a calculator out for the second problem would be ideal. All right, so on this first one, we won't need a calculator. At least I hope we don't. So what's this word right here that we're doing? Distribute. We need to be using those math terms. Okay, so we're going to distribute the 3, and then on the second part, the -4. So we should get 6x plus 9 minus 12x. What's this? Plus 24. Be very careful of those negative signs. You're distributing a -4. All right. Next math term, we combine like terms. What do we get? Equals 15. Next. Negative 18. Last step. Negative 6. Hopefully you think this is easy and review. Okay, we've been practicing this for many years. All right, so I'm going to give you a full minute head start on this next problem, and I hope we can all end up with the same answer. So I want to see all of you working on this. All right, let's see if we get the same answer. Is it 3? 4? Questions? We're all agreeing? All right, the last two examples are right along the same line of thought. There's just a little bit more difficulty, but we need to not be intimidated by it. So we're going to go through these two examples, and then I'll let you run with your homework. Anyone still need this?
I do.
Okay. Okay. All right, these two. The only difference with these two problems from the last page is that we have a variable on both sides. Okay, so what should we do on this one? Okay, so we can move the 2x. Equals 2. Move the 3. And divide by 2. You can have your answers in fraction form or decimal form today on the homework. Now, sometimes fractions can scare kids, okay? You all have a calculator, so don't let the fraction piece intimidate you. We're going to review actually doing all that fraction stuff by hand at a later date. But right now, let's just focus on the getting x by itself and using all of those algebra properties. So what would be our first step? Okay, again, if the fractions intimidate you, you can rely on your calculator, but hopefully this one we can do in our heads. 3/5 minus 1/5 is 2/5 x plus 2 equals -7. Minus 2 first. -9. Last step. Same as this one right here. Okay, we had to get the x by itself, so we divide by that coefficient. Our coefficient this time is 2/5. So we take 9 divided by 2/5, or -9. Good. Questions?